Welcome to Facing the Canon. My guest on the programme is my friend and wonderful lady, Fiona Castle, speaker and author. Fiona, welcome to Facing the Canon.
Thank you, it's a joy to be with you.
Well, thank you for joining us. We want to hear about your life and your story. Where were you born, Fiona?
I was born on the Wirral. I'm a Scouser, you know?
Yes.
Come from Liverpool. No.
But you don't often hear that in your
Oh, no,
tone.
darling, I went to drama school.
You did.
But yes, my father was a GP in a little place called West Kirby, and went to a little local school until my dancing teacher told my mother that I showed promise. And my mother got all excited about it, and at the age of 9 I was sent to boarding school 250 miles away to learn to dance.
And how old were you when you first went to that school?
9.
9.
Yes.
So that was a big upheaval for you.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
But exciting.
Yes.
And you focused on ballet.
Yes. My brain was in my feet at the time.
But then after drama school, what did you then go on and do?
Well, I wished that I was good enough to be in a ballet company, because that was my ambition, but I never got into a ballet company. So I became a chorus dancer in pantomime and what they call summer seasons in those days. And I just loved it. It was hardly any money, and, you know, spent it all on digs, places to stay and
Yes.
so on. It's pretty basic, but it was just wonderful, really exciting.
And there were two wonderful comedians, Morecambe and Wise, and you got to meet them, and you got to know Eric Morecambe and his wife. And you said to them something like, well, Roy Castle, if ever there's an opportunity, would you introduce me?
Yes.
So tell us
right.
What happened.
Oh, well, Eric and Ernie were in the first pantomime I did after I left school, chorus dancing, the Coventry Hippodrome. And then later on I did another programme, summer season with them in Morecambe. And then I got to know Eric really well, because he introduced me to all his family up there and so on, and maintained a friendship over the years. And they were really kind to me. They knew I was a starving dancer. So Joan, Eric's wife, used to invite me occasionally for the weekend to stay with them. And then I wouldn't starve for the rest of the week, because she sent me back with all the leftovers. So it was a real treat for me. And it was on one of these occasions that we were sitting watching television, and Roy happened to come on the television. And he had his own show at that time. And I just said to Eric, oh, if ever you do a show with Roy Castle, will you introduce me? Because I think he's so talented. I'd seen him at the Palladium performing, and I just thought he was very, oh, all right, love, was all I got. And I thought, that's it.
It's not going to happen.
Never happened. But later on, he phoned me. By that time, I was in a show in London. And he was in London as well. And he said, hey, Fiona, I'm doing a television with Roy at the weekend. Do you want to come along? Oh, yes, please. And of course, it was on a Sunday evening, and there were no shows in the theatre on a Sunday evening at that time. So off I went with Joan, Eric's wife, to watch the programme. And just before the show started, Eric took me into Roy's dressing room to introduce me. And I was so excited. I thought this was going to be the best moment of my life. But it turned out to be the worst.
No, but we're going, what? He said something. Go on.
Roy, this is Fiona. She's in love with you, and left.
And he just walked out.
He left, yes.
So you felt embarrassed.
We both looked at each other, and I said, nice to meet you, and I ran off.
But you got to know each other. And was it within 3 weeks that Roy proposed to you?
Yes, it was. I don't know how you found that out, because I don't tell many people that. Certainly didn't tell my parents that.
No. And then you got married.
Yes.
And Roy was quite a character himself. He had a number of world records. Wasn't one of the records that you had about tapping?
Yes, he did a million taps in 24 hours. But
Wow.
he also did so many taps in a second, and I didn't trust that.
No. And did he what's the word, paraglide?
Parascended under all the bridges of the Thames.
My word.
Yeah, that was terrifying. I thought he was going to had his head cut off by one of the bridges because they wouldn't have slowed the boat down enough. But he said he was more worried about drinking the water of the Thames when he went underneath.
Yeah, he thought that was more harmful.
That was much more harmful.
And then what about Blackpool? Didn't he?
Oh, yes.
Blackpool Tower.
He went on a zip wire down from Blackpool Tower down to the beach, which was a third of a mile. And he was actually scared about that. He never seemed to worry about any of those things, but he was a bit worried. But when you actually saw the film, he was singing, "Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside," as he was going down the wire.
But he was very adventurous.
Yes, he loved anything like that. And
an incredible entertainer and performer. Now, you were in the original theatrical cast of Sound of Music.
Yes, I was actually. Yes.
So what was that experience like for you at that time?
Well, it was disappointing, but it was wonderful because in those days you had to do auditions for the shows, and I did about 3 or 4 auditions, got down to the last 2, and the other one got the part. So I understudied, but then she left, Barbara Brown, she left to have a baby, and I took over. So I was in that for a little while, yes, I loved it.
And, I mean, happily married, 4 children, but life felt hard for you. And in 1975, in February, I gather, was a time when you kind of cried out to God. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Well, I'd always thought that I was a Christian. I was a churchgoer from my birth almost. And I thought that I'd done everything right. I tried to be a good girl and said my prayers by my bedside every night and those sort of things. But when I was a mother and married into our marriage quite a few years, I started to get really depressed. I didn't suffer from depression, but I was very low in my spirit. I just felt I was no good. I tried to be a good wife, and I just felt I was failing all the time. And Roy was wonderful. He was such an encourager, but I just felt that I wasn't matching up to what I should be. And I was really low in my spirit. And one day, in utter desperation, I went up to my bedroom after I'd taken the children to school, got down on my knees, and I just cried out to God. And I said, "God, if you're there, you've got to help me, and you've got to help me now, because I've had it. I can't go on any longer." It was that bad. That's all I said. And before I got up off my knees, the phone rang. And when I answered the phone, the woman who was at the other end was somebody I'd met a couple of times. I would never expected her to even know my phone number. But I did know she was what she called a real Christian. And she just said, "Fiona, I don't know why I'm phoning you, but I've had you on my mind recently, and I had this sudden urge to ring you." She said, "I feel as if you need to talk. I don't know what you need to talk about, but would you like to come and have a coffee with me?"
Amazing.
Well, I had to recognise that as God's answering that desperate cry for help.
Like immediately?
Immediately.
After you cried, the phone rang?
Yes, so she must have had it in her mind before I even got on my knees, because it was such a short prayer. And so I went round to her house then and there. Ben, my youngest, was about a year old at the time, and I threw him into Roy's arms and said, "I'm going out." And I left, and he thought that was it. I'd left him holding the baby, and I was never coming back. But I think because I didn't know this woman very well, when I went and spoke to her, I felt that I could be real with her.
Yes.
And I just told her how I felt, and she was really good. She was a good listener. She read the verse from the Bible, "Look, I'm standing at the door and I'm constantly knocking."
Yeah, Revelation 3:20.
That's the one. "And if anyone hears me calling him and opens the door, I will come in and enjoy fellowship with him and he with me." And I realized that Jesus had been standing at the door of my heart knocking for 35 years. And I'd never let him in that real way. So I opened the door and he came in.
Because that had never been explained to you.
It had never been explained. It was just something that I thought that, well, that's as far as you went. I did all the things. I was confirmed and I had the children christened and I did what I was supposed to do. But there was no reality there.
Yes.
And suddenly it was as if she helped me to pray a prayer that was the simplest prayer that you could imagine. Please, Jesus, forgive me for the mess I've made of my life up to now. You come in and take it over and see what you can do with the rest of it, okay? It wasn't, oh, Heavenly Father, you know, it wasn't like that at all. It was just real. And she helped me to pray that prayer, I just felt all the tension and anxiety and fear just melting away. And in place of it came this incredible peace. And that was all those years ago now, 1975, as you said.
Yes.
I was 35, I'm now 85, so it's a few years.
Wow.
But it's the same. You know, I've been through quite a lot since, ups and downs, highs and lows. But I've just known the peace of God with all of those things.
So when you got home, Roy got a new wife. Well, did he notice that there was something different about you?
Well, it was interesting because when I was driving home, this lady only lived about a mile away from me. God said, don't tell Roy what's happened, live it out.
Yes.
And so I didn't say a word. I just got on with my life as if nothing had happened. And it was after a while that he said, what happened to you that day? And where did you go? And who did you speak to? And why are you so different? And so I explained to him.
Yes.
I felt that was the right time to tell him. He said, oh, thank goodness. He said, I've been praying for years that you'd see the light and become a reasonable human being again.
Isn't that amazing? But how encouraging for you that he could see the transformation that took place.
Oh, it just totally changed my life. It didn't change my circumstances,
No.
it changed my attitude.
Your attitude.
And I didn't get in a state with things as I used to.
But how sad that you didn't know that wasn't explained to you for all those years.
I know.
And how sad that maybe there are others around the world who don't know that either, and how important it is, Fiona, for us to explain it.
To share it, but to live it out so that people see that there's a difference.
Yes.
Not just telling them, now this is what you should do, because that would put me off forever when people do things like that. So
yes.
it's just actually a loving environment and a feel of love for people to understand it.
Understand it. Roy, your husband, was diagnosed with cancer. Tell us about that journey.
Well, it was a strange journey because he was a very fit guy.
Yes.
He'd never smoked. But obviously he had worked in lots of nightclubs and theatres. I remember when I was in the theatre, you saw the spotlight coming through, but there was smoke as you saw the spotlight, you know. And people just smoked all the time. And
yes.
I think with being a trumpet player, he breathed in a lot of heavy smoke, and it was lung cancer, even though he'd never smoked. And it was the kind of cancer that's found in smokers, kind of lung cancer that was found in smokers. So that when he was diagnosed, the specialist didn't even believe that he'd never smoked in his life.
Yeah. And then what was the prognosis when it was first diagnosed?
Well, it was so far ahead, they said he had 3 months to live. But in fact, he lived 2 years. And he was able to share a lot of his life in a different way as a result of that, and also to promote, because at that particular time they were doing a lot of research into passive smoking, and nobody believed it at the time, but he was able to promote that.
So when they said, Fiona, that Roy had 3 months to live, And thank God it was much, much longer than that. But how did you and Roy choose to live those final days?
Well, we just wanted to make the most of every moment that we had. And I think, you put things off, don't you? Because you think, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. I'm too busy at the moment. And suddenly you see life in a different way. And we had a great time. Obviously, Roy was struggling quite a lot with all the treatment that he had to have. So it wasn't easy for him, but he dealt with it in such a lovely way. He saw the funny side of everything. There was one very naughty time when he was having radiotherapy. He'd had his chemo and he had 5 weeks non-stop of radiotherapy. And they used to say to him, the bed went right up at the top, just at the last minute, for the last bit. And then it finished, and they say, all right, you can relax your arms, but don't get down. In other words, wait till the bed comes down, and then you can get off so you won't fall. But by the time that the last time came, he knew exactly what was happening, and he put a skull, a skeleton, on the bed, jumped off and got off and went into the corner, and the nurse came in and said, right, you can relax your
He was a real entertainer all his life.
And there's this little voice from the corner saying, I think you've overdone it this time.
Oh. Now, and there's the Roy Castle Cancer
Cancer Foundation.
Yes. Tell us about that, because obviously you've been an ambassador of that for many years.
Well, it happened when there was this professor who was working in a hospital in Liverpool, and he was doing a lot of research into lung cancer and wanted to set up a charity to try and for people to understand, because it was a worse kind of cancer.
Yes.
And very little was done. So many people were dying every year of it. So he was trying to do a promotion to try and learn more about lung cancer and to get a cure for it and so on, and more research done. So Roy was actually in a theatre in Birmingham at the time, and this man came to see him, and he said, would you be a patron, or would you be head it up? And Roy said, well, I'm dying, but I'll do what I can.
Yes.
And he did what he could whilst he was still alive, and did a tour of the country on a train and all sorts of things to try and promote it, and also promote the dangers of passive smoking.
Yeah.
And that became obviously something that happens as a result.
As a result.
But after he died.
Yes. You've been involved in all types of ministry, speaking. You're involved in a ministry called Activate. Tell us about that ministry.
Well, that started off as Christian Viewpoint.
Yes.
And it was started by Billy Graham's wife, who brought it over from America, the idea of women evangelizing.
Yeah.
And so I became involved with that in a very small way, and it gradually grew and it became Christian Viewpoint, and then it became Activate Your Life. And loads of young women. It's friendship evangelism for women, and it's not sort of, are you saved?
Yes.
Otherwise you're going to die. But it was just trying to build friendships up with people to make them feel comfortable about what we were doing. And that's how I've been involved with it since. But as I said, I have retired now.
Sure. Well, as you know, Fiona, the word retired's not in the Bible, so no, it's refired, isn't it?
Well, that'll do. Yes.
For another season. But I spoke at a number of Activate events over the years,
yes.
And I was always encouraged, Fiona, at those very seeker-sensitive environments, where almost at the dinners that I spoke a couple, over 50% were unchurched.
That's right, yes.
So actually, it is very easy to invite people to a good event where they can hear a little about the good news of Jesus
Yes, in a very basic way.
in a very basic way.
A sort of way it happened to me and to many other people. And we're very, very into actually just being friendly with people. And when trouble comes along,
I know.
then you can say, well, have you thought about this? Or, you know, it's just an easy way of actually getting alongside people and recognizing the importance and the value of it, rather than, you know, oh, you better go to church or you go to hell.
Yes.
You know, I'm sorry to say that, but do you know what I mean?
No, sometimes we're insensitive.
Yes, and it really puts people off.
Yes.
So they have to understand that it's Jesus' love and acceptance of us and forgiveness.
Yes.
That's important.
I've got your book here. Wonderful.
Not really my book.
Well, you contributed a lot. It's called B. Tell us about this. I've dipped into this over the years, and I have found it so inspiring and helpful. Tell us how that came to be.
Well, we have a weekend away every year, and we always give a little gift to the people who come to the event. And we thought it might be quite nice, or the team thought it would be quite nice to perhaps do a month of thought for the day, or just little devotions, and make it into a little tiny cardboard paper thing, just as a gift. And so they asked me to start writing 1 or 2 thoughts for the day. And then they thought, well, actually, it might be better if we did it a bit more. Maybe we'll build it up ourselves.
Yes.
And so we started doing it a bit more, and then Authentic publishers decided that they liked the idea, and they would publish it for us and make it into a complete book. So from then on, we had to start thinking of 375 thoughts for the day. And
well, you wrote 250 of those.
About 200, yes, something like that.
Yeah, and I think what's
then
great.
My brain died.
But I think what's great about these thoughts for the day, Fiona, is that they're bite size.
Yes.
And it doesn't take long to read each day, and you can just chew on it and reflect on it.
And I think the importance of that is that they're little stories or anecdotes of people with real issues and real situations that they've been through, and how they've got through it through the love of Jesus, really.
Yes. Now, you, Fiona, you've been a follower of Jesus. You've known Jesus for over 50 years. For you, what does Jesus mean to you today?
He means the same to me as he did all those years ago, because it just changed my life, and I've never gone back from that. It's always been so important. One of the things that I have discovered is we have to recognize our age, our circumstances, and how other people treat us, and accept it and still carry on, because it's not the same as it was when I was vibrant and exciting and young and all the rest of it. But that there are seasons of life, and I have learned so much about those seasons of life that we have to move into and accept. And God's still with me with all the different seasons. And even though I'm not doing nearly as much as I used to do in terms of evangelism, you know, out there and being invited to speak at events, I use what God gives me if I can.
But what about those who are listening now, Fiona, and they're going through like a winter season in their lives, and life just feels maybe a little like how you felt when you were 35. What would you say to them?
There's still a purpose. God still has a purpose for us in different ways than when we were very young. But we have to use those and accept them as they are. And I know that, you know, life is not wasted. It's so important that we make the most of the opportunities that we have. Even though they're fewer, they're different. There are different ways that we can use our lives to be useful. I'm very involved with my local church, and I'm very good at washing up now.
That's
And
good.
I think we have to accept that.
But I'm reminded though of Anna, who was 84 and, worshipping the Lord and still serving the Lord. And how do you now see this season of your life?
Sometimes it's a bit frustrating because I haven't got the energy that I had before. But you mentioned the Anna
Yes.
story, and we actually have at our church an Anna group, and we meet up only once every 2 months for lunch, and it's very much anybody from the area can come in and enjoy lunch with us and fellowship with each other, so that they can talk about and share about their loss, their loneliness, their circumstances. There are people that will pray with them, talk to them, and there are many who come who are not Christians yet, who just come in.
What? And do you call it Anna
The
Group?
Anna group, yes.
How lovely.
Yes, for that very reason.
I've never heard of a church that runs an Anna Group, but that is great because what a great model and inspiration she actually is,
That's
isn't
right,
she?
Yes. And we can be a model and help other people if they're, I've been a widow for 30-something years now, and so it's very normal for me, but there's people who just lost their loved ones and they just don't know how to handle it. They need somebody to talk to understand and so on. So it's a good way of getting alongside other women.
What's your favourite passage or scripture in the Bible?
I love Psalm 32 because I think it's my story. You'll have to read that one.
Yes.
I'm not going to tell it to you because...
What would be the main point from that psalm?
That I made a mess of my life, but God changed it.
Oh.
And I think, behold, I stand at the door and knock was another favourite for me, obviously.
Well, that was the turning point to your own spiritual encounter.
Yes.
I love what you just said, Psalm 32. I've made a mess of my life, but God has changed it.
Yes.
And that, Fiona, really is the essence and the heart of Christianity.
That's true, yes. It changes our lives.
Changes our lives. And I've known you for a number of decades, and you've always been a very graceful lady, and the Lord's aroma just permeates through you, Fiona, and really appreciate you and thank you for joining us on Facing the Canon.
It's been a real honour. Thank you very much.
I hope you've enjoyed listening to a little bit of Fiona's story. Again, that little reminder there of Psalm 32. We may have made a mess of our lives, but the Lord can transform us. I hope you're inspired and encouraged. Thank you for joining us on Facing the Canon. Please join us again.